your questions and your comments during the session. We encourage you to submit them on the site. You'll see a new window that you might not be accustomed if you're someone who's attended our sessions in the past. You might not be accustomed to seeing this window. We think it's a big improvement that will better facilitate real-time chat and any questions that you submit, much better than the teeny tiny window that was very difficult to find that we used to have. So please make use of that. Enter your questions at any time. We'll be keeping an eye on this window, and we'll read your questions and comments at the appropriate time in the session today. You're also welcome to email comments to us directly at support@salesmanagement.org. And an additional reminder, today's session is being recorded. We'll make it available for playback in the Sales Management Association's resource library, and our members will be able to find it there and view the archive as well as download slides from today's presentation. Our session today is one in a series of web-based Sales Management Association presentations that feature practitioners and thought leaders in the field of Salesforce effectiveness. The Sales Management Association is a professional association for sales operations and effectiveness, sales enablement, and sales leadership professions. We provide our members with research, case studies, training, peer networking, and professional development. If you're joining us for the first time, we encourage you to look around while you're here and consider membership in the association. Also, we encourage you to learn more about our upcoming conference, June 7th and 8th at the University of Houston. This will be the resumption of a conference that we used to do every year and did, in fact, for 9 consecutive years, called the Salesforce Productivity Conference. You can learn more about the conference at salesmanagementconference.com. We hope to see you there June 7th and 8th. I'm Bob Kelly, Sales Management Association Chairman, and today it's my pleasure to introduce a speaker who's no stranger to our audience. She's really presented some excellent sessions over the past few months with us. She is Lauren Bailey from Factor 8. Lauren Bailey is founder and president at Factor 8, a sales and sales management training company focused in virtual selling. She is the founder of 2 other successful brands related to sales effectiveness. They are the Sales Bar, an online sales training platform, and Girls Club, a program designed to elevate women sales leaders through training and mentorship. Lauren was previously global director of training at SAP and an independent training consultant before founding Factor 8. Thank you very much, Lauren Bailey from Factor 8. It's always great to have you with us. And as usual, we're looking forward to a great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. This is going to be fun. I can't wait to do this. So, hi, everybody. I'm Lauren Bailey. My friends call me LB. And like Bob said, I've got 3 brands that I'm running. And yet, being an entrepreneur of 3 brands, while being a mother of 2 boys, 2 dogs, and 2 cats, I'm still not as busy as I was in my first sales management job. The struggle is real. I remember it. In fact, that first year I spent in sales management was so painful, if I'm honest, just straight up painful and busy and crazy and driving in the dark and coming home in the dark and drinking a lot of wine, that 15, 20 years later, I started companies to solve for it. And that is what inspired me to start my first company, Factor 8, to help folks like you deal with the stress of sales management. So today I'm going to share a ton of productivity hacks. Sales management is the busiest job in the world. And I'm going to go out on a limb, wait for it, this is a bold statement, and tell you that I think I can get more done in a day than 95% of the population. And I'm going to share with you some of how I learned to survive sales management and some of what I do as a busy entrepreneur today. So yes, the struggle is real, right? The American Institute of Stress, I wonder when they were founded. 46% of us, stress reported among employees in the US is caused by that overwhelming workload. In fact, here's another one. Cornerstone Dynamics told us that Up to 80% of the average working day is spent on activities with little or no value. So not only are we buried, but sometimes we feel like we're spinning our wheels. I know that I did. So here we go. We're going to jump in today. I thought I'd have a little bit of fun. The Sales Bar is the name of our online learning platform. And we think it's pretty punny, right? We've got chasers and shots and come on into the bar. So I thought I'd service up 8 shots from the Sales Bar today. We do a monthly series at Factor 8 called Sales Shots that are quick 30-minute hits, sales management and sales rep topics. And you can check out more at factor8.com/shots for that. So here we go. Sales shot number 1, stop whack-a-mole management. Anybody ever played this at carnivals, right? Where you have to beat that little thing back. It's my favorite. It's such a good stress reliever. I just go nuts on these things. I think it's fantastic. But whack-a-mole management is basically saying, hey, you're reacting all day long to what's popping up. And there's a better way to do it. It's called proactivity. Proactivity is doing what you decide you want to do during the day. Remember those days when you were in charge of just yourself? It's probably what made you a super successful individual contributor before you started the care and feeding of a team. So how do you do this? Well, first of all, identify your priorities, right? If you don't start the day with a goal in mind of what's most important for you to do, maybe why you got into this job in the first place, and make the whole day's target accomplishing that, then you absolutely will spend all day in whack-a-mole, right? I understand that you get 300 emails a day, but you weren't hired to respond to emails. So what is your priority? And have you set a daily goal to get that done? You probably won't get 10 of them done, but if you can just do that one, you're going to feel a lot less like you're spinning your wheels at the end of the day. The other thing we have to do is recognize everything that comes to us as reactive or proactive. It will help you decide to say no more often and help you prioritize what you got into the job to do, right? Here we are at the beginning of the day. Look, I'm going to get all this done. And at the end of the day, we got none of it done. So it's a good opportunity to try out Bob's new chat function. What are 3 things you wish you had more time for on the job? Did you get into management to teach people? To coach people? Do you wish you had time for your own personal development? Do you wish you could build the resources your team needs? Do you wish you could do more training with them, right? Chat in what you wish you had more time for. And in the meantime, we're going to do a little quiz. Make sure that you can tell what during your day is proactive or reactive. And Bob, at the end of this quiz, will ask you to tell us some of the things that people are excited to do with the time I'm going to give them back by the end of this webinar. Here we go. Pretty quickly. I want you to answer this on your own. You don't have to chat these in, right? Reading your email, is it proactive or reactive? I get it. You got to do it, but it's reactive. When you're writing and sending an email to get something done, it's proactive. How about that line at your desk? And if you're still virtual, the constant Slack, right? The never-ending wheel of messages that pop up. That one's pretty easy. It's reactive. And if these 2 things are what you're doing for the majority of your day, I don't have to tell you, right? You're whacking moles. How about a morning huddle? Hey, everybody, we're going to have a quick meeting, right? Whether it's virtual or in person, that's proactive. I want to get my message across to these people. That's proactive. Helping reps when they come with questions and issues. Yeah, reactive. How about creating a new report, right? I can't seem to get this. I really want to talk less about metrics and more about KPIs, but I don't have it on my dashboard. So I'm going to have to build it. It's proactive. I bet it's one of those things you wish you had more time for. Pulling a rep into a strategy meeting. I notice in our pipeline meeting, so-and-so is not ready to hit goal. They're going to need some help closing these deals. Hey, let's get into a meeting and talk about how. That's you doing the job you were signed up to do, right? That's proactive. Nice job. And of course, running that pipeline meeting and calling that also proactive. Now, for some of you, this was definitely a review, right? Bob, do you have any answers for me? What did we get into this job to do? And what do we wish we had more time for?
Yes, let's look at a couple. We have one, strategic thinking is the first. We also have someone who's indicated their first, second, third things would be coaching. Number one, coaching. Number two, coaching. Number three, coaching.
Yes, there's never time for coaching. What else? Anything else?
That's it right now.
All
Keep
right,
those comments coming.
Good. I love it. Listen, strategic thinking, the higher you go, the more important it is. And it's so hard to carve out time for that. I have a pile of things literally right here that I need to just I need a couple hours. I got to figure it out. What's our strategy? What are we going to do? What's the most important? How do I prioritize it? Those things take time and quiet. And that's really, really hard to find in our jobs. We have to carve it out and put it on the calendar. So here's sales shot number 2. A way that we're going to get some of that time back is rethinking your meetings. Okay. One of the things we teach at Factor 8, and it's probably the number one strategy, is the sales management cadence. A cadence is a process. It's the regular meetings that you have with your team that organizes your interactions with them, and it prevents handling all their needs reactively. Okay. If you have set interactions with them, regularly scheduled and labeled, then you can push those requests into the meetings. Here's what we recommend in a management cadence. There are 8 essential manager and rep interactions. Of course, the performance one-on-one. You're doing those at the beginning of the month or the quarter, right? Here's how you did last period. Here's the goals for next period. Here's where you wound up in the stack ranking. Well, how are we going to get there? Why would you take time to just individually answer those questions one by one? If you don't have this one on your calendar, get it done ASAP. Just let them know it's coming first, okay? Sales huddles, it's important. They don't need to be every day unless you got a brand new team, but you need to have at least one a week. This is where you set the tone. You set the goals, you re-energize. What are we going to get done together today? It's a way to be proactive about your day and to help your team do it as well. Call coaching, number 1, number 2, and number 3. It's so tough to do because everything else is an emergency, right? Oh my God, I don't know that skill. Not quite, right? There's never a coaching emergency. So we don't get to it, but it's why we got into the job. I love that it was your 1, 2, and 3. Thank you for that. So we got to get it scheduled, put it on the calendar, make it regular. I've got a few tips on how to make that happen. Pipeline meetings, sales strategy meetings. Now I have T and A in there because for some of us, a sales strategy meeting is a territory strategy. For some of us, it's an account strategy. And in fact, there should be an L. For some of us, it's a lead strategy, depending on your go-to-market, right? Your motion. Deal strategies are something all of us do. Team meetings, of course. And this 8th one is probably the least common I see getting done. And that's the quarterly performance and career path meeting. Super duper important to millennials and Gen Zs. You know, they come to work 6 days in a row and they want a promotion. I love that about you guys. Way to advocate for your own career. So if you're not having regular talks about their careers, it's a seller's market, folks. They'll go to a company where they do. Don't just repurpose, don't do it on the fly. Don't do it once a year. Maybe take your performance one-on-one meeting once a quarter and you double it in time and talk about them and their careers. All right, a few tips to get all of these done. We got to laser focus our meetings, and that's sales shot number 3. Not all meetings are created equal, man, right? I'm not advocating that you take those 8 meetings, book them all for an hour with every single rep. Now you have less time in your day. Some of these are short. Huddles are 15 minutes or less, right? Team meetings don't have to be 90 minutes long. Either do sales strategy meetings, neither do call coaching meetings. Some happen more often than others. You can also save time by making some of them group meetings. You got to do quarterly reviews, one-on-one with somebody about their career, one-on-one performance, sales strategies. You're working one-on-one, but wait a minute. Some of them cross over too, right? We talked about the fact that call coaching is one-on-one, but I think you can go up to 3-on-1 and still make that call coaching. Sales huddles, of course, are group. I meet a lot of managers who are doing pipeline meetings one-on-one. Holy time suck. Make those a group meeting. I'm telling you, it takes some rigor. It takes some preparation, but it will also help do some of your job for you. When you call everybody into a pipeline meeting and they got to call their number and prove it in front of their peers, they'll get a lot better at calling their number. Team meetings, of course, our group. Sales strategies, it crosses over too. Why not do those in group settings? We can help each other. How do you decide who gets one-on-one and who gets group? This way. You guys probably all remember this from either business school or, high school. This is the bell curve. And the bell curve says that in any group, you're going to get a distribution like this. So your A players on a team of 10 to 12, you probably got one. You're lucky if you've got two. The A players are the ones who consistently outperform quota. Your B players and your C players are going to be a huge percentage of your team. Like 68% are going to fall there. In fact, I'll tell you something I learned the hard way. You got to learn to love your Bs. You will make your number or miss your number every single month on the back of your B players. So don't hate them because they're not A's, okay? They are your commission check. And of course, your C players, they're hitting quota every once in a while. They're missing it sometimes. There's some issues. The Ds are the ones that are probably on a write-up. I don't include new people there. You see my N's up there over the Bs, the newbies. We don't know where they fall yet. Sure, they're bringing in like $1.50 in revenue, but it's not their fault. They're new. So who gets the most coaching time? Where is it most important you spend your time? Why don't you chat that in for me again? If you only have 3 hours this month to coach, you're going to coach your A's, your B's, your C's, your D's, or your N's. And Bob, as that comes up, I'll ask you to just pipe in and tell me who our winner is. A's, B's, C's, D's, or N's. I want you to resist. This is like one of those trivia quizzes you do in the bar where it gives you hints, right? And there's less and less time. Resist the urge to spend all your time with your squeaky wheels. I see a lot of companies make that mistake. I've seen them even hire professional coaches to come in and add more coaching time to their D players. Folks, the ones that are Ds, it's not usually just a skill issue. There's usually a will issue there as well. So they get the least amount of time. And in fact, I make the Ds prove that they're worthy of getting my time for coaching before I do it. I put the Ds in a group. I have my A's or B's coach my Ds. Bob, who does everybody say is first?
Well, it looks like we have a vote for B's and C's, a vote for B's and N's, A's.
Okay, I love it. I love the combinations. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, they're all combos. You got all combos in this one. B's and C's, B plus N, B's and N's, again, B's, and I think that's all.
All right. Way to go, you guys. The biggest vote winner is the right answer, B's and N's. So congratulations to you, right? We've done the math. Because you've got more B's on that team than anybody else. If you can get B's performance up 10%, that makes the biggest hit to your number. Sure, A's, they can hit the big dollars, but there's only one of them. And your N's, it's really critical you spend the most time with them because we don't know where they fall yet. Don't let a potential superstar future A player fall out the bottom because they didn't get enough tender love and care and time from you, right? Help those N's ramp faster. You're going to keep them longer. And you don't need to spend more time in interviews. Am I right? So hang on to those N's with your whole life. All right, here we go. Sales shot number 4. Live in the matrix. We're going to teach you to live in the matrix, right? We've got a red pill and a blue pill. It's not that bad. There are 2 questions, however. And the questions are this: is it urgent and is it important? Because not all tasks and not all requests are created equal. Some are urgent, some are important, some are both, some are neither. And it does create a matrix. So let's get crystal clear on the definitions first. Important means it's critical to the mission. Well, what's our mission? It's revenue, folks. We're in sales. Maybe yours is margin, maybe yours is profit, maybe yours is market share. Whatever it is, if you're getting paid on it, that's what's important. Urgent means there's a deadline. Think about the last 10 requests that you got. Were they urgent? Were they important? Were they both, or were they neither? So when you put it on a matrix, it looks like this, all right? Up at my top, it is urgent. That means it has to do with cash. I'm going to close a deal. It's also important. I'm sorry, urgent means, I just made the mistake myself. Important means I'm going to close the deal. Urgent means the customer's on the line, or the special ends tomorrow, or their contract team is looking at it and I need a decision by, okay? There's a deadline to win this deal, and that's a fire drill. Whack the mole, drop everything, go and attend to that. Well, let's say it's related to revenue, so it's important, but it's not urgent, right? There's no deadline on it. Maybe that's a strategy meeting with your rep. We're going to help them make goal. It just doesn't have to be by today at 5. I can schedule that. Where? In a sales strategy meeting. All of those meetings we talked about are for that box, because all of your interactions with reps, including coaching, are about helping them hit goal, right? They're just not urgent. So you schedule them and you stick to the schedule. All right, well, let's talk about the things that come up that have nothing to do with revenue. It's half your email box. It's not helping you close deals, right? The marketing department wants this. The credit department's asking about that. There's, lunch specials. There's this, there's that. If it's not related to revenue, right, or goal, and it comes up fast, well, if you can, delegate that to somebody else. You know what it might be? A big issue that's come up, right? Somebody's got something that's hot. It's a big, it's a great big old deal. See if you can get another department to take care of that. See if you can get a boss. See if you can get a team lead. Get it off your plate. It doesn't have to do with goal. And now, of course, we have the stuff that doesn't relate to revenue and it's not urgent. It's neither, and you just got to get rid of those. Let me give you some examples, you guys. We go way deeper into this, into our training. And by the way, we're going to give you a chance to do that. We cover this in our Management 101 Bootcamp. And of course, we've got a special offer at the end of this, but it's really great training. This is in our class, Own Your Day. And it's probably the most useful in all that we do. Time management for sales managers. Here we go. So let's look at number 1, make a follow-up call to a prospect. It has to do with money, but it's not urgent. The deal's not closing right now. Your rep needs help with that. We're going to schedule it. Next one, a computer issue. Uh-oh. I can't do anything, so it's urgent. I need it fixed immediately. It just doesn't have anything to do with goal. So give it to your IT department. Give it to an assistant. Give it to anybody who will take it and get it done that's not you under a desk with a screwdriver. Your job is to drive goal. Next, customers on the phone. I got to approve the deal. It's right now and it's revenue. And of course, watching funny cat videos gets to die in the trash. Live in the matrix, folks. Ask every single request. Is it urgent? Is it important? When it's both, take it. If it's not both, don't do it right then. Schedule it, delegate it, or ignore it. Ooh, it only works if you work it, okay? It is super hard to live in the matrix. You got to say no a lot. 3 out of 4 requests are neither urgent nor important, guys. You got to get great at doing the pushing, the delegating, and the deleting. This works obviously hand in hand with the cadence, right? Identify your proactive tasks, get those on the calendar. Then take everything else that comes up and categorize it by urgent and important, and then properly respond to those requests. And that's the hardest part. I'm going to give you some examples of what you can say, lines you can steal to say no. I get it's hard to say no. I teach a lot of new managers, and what they tell us when they get really, really honest and they trust us is that they're trying to prove themselves. to their team. And boy, do I remember that. My first sales management job, I was 23 years old. I was the youngest one on the team. Of course, I didn't tell them that, right? I would pretend I was old by, here it is. Now I need these. I would go to meetings with readers and classes so that I would look older and smart. I was 23. Now I have these on every surface in the house. The point is, new managers are trying to prove themselves to their team. And how do we do that? By helping them, by having the answers, by fixing it for them. But we're not helping them. We got to teach them to fish instead. Okay? So quit giving them the fish. Here's how you do it. Somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh man, I just had the best call." You know who does that, right? And then they forecast it after one call. Here's what you say. "Bob, that sounds awesome, but I'm on a deadline right now. Could you bring that story and maybe even the call recording to our call coaching session next week? I can't wait to hear it." You push it into the meeting, folks. Takes practice. Here we go. Somebody's coming up. "Hey, I really need your help." "Whoa, sorry, I got to stop you for a moment. It sounds important and I want to give it the time it deserves. Could you put that on our agenda for our 101 at the beginning of the month?" It'll hold. Okay. And if it won't hold, they'll find their answer somewhere else. Here it is in Slack. "What's up? Got a minute?" I love this one. "I got 30 seconds right now, or 15 minutes at 2 p.m. Then you put it on them. "Hit me back at 2 if you still need help." Don't say, "I'll call you at 2. Your job is to own as few action items as possible, folks. We are clearing your plate. Stop adding things to it all day long. It's going to come anyway, okay? When you're writing down an action item at the end of the meeting, that is your clue you're doing something wrong. Your rep needs to own those. Here's another example. "Got a minute? I'm sorry, I'm in a meeting. Can you go ask Bob instead, please?" Quit trying to be everything to everybody all the time, okay? Use the other resources that are there. Push them to bring it to you in a meeting. They'll either bring it and you'll have the time to give it great attention, or they won't. And you just got back 10 minutes or 20 minutes if it's that super needy rep who needs to be pet all the time. Your A performer. All right, next tip, sales shot number 6. Use a standard meeting framework. I'll tell you, my first team meeting, I probably spent 3 hours preparing for that. Same thing with my first performance one-on-ones. And if any of those meetings I listed for you are new, that can be especially tough. The preparation, the scheduling, and what do I say and how do I say it? What if I've got a performance issue? You can spend hours wasting time worrying about that. What you need for the meeting, I forgot to cover. It's tough, right? To organize yourself into the file folders of meetings. It helps if you've got a standard model. We call it the coaching model, and this one consistently wins our #1 favorite class, not just with our management trainees, but also in Girls Club, where we have a couple hundred people every year taking a management certification. This class comes out #1. The coaching model is a standard framework, and yes, we teach it in the bootcamp, of every single meeting. I'm going to show you how it works. COACHN. It gets it all done and reminds you to be a great leader. C stands for clarify expectations. Let's say it's call coaching, right? It's pretty simple. It's a sentence. "Hey, last time we were going to work on your introductions. I know we've got a few calls scored. Let's see how you're improving. I called this meeting to talk about you showing up naked to work again." Whatever it is, that's what the C is. It sets the tone for the meeting. All right. Oh, it's what I've noticed. So my example here about a call coaching meeting is, "I heard your new intro in almost all of these clips. Great job." O could be, "I've observed that on Tuesday, you didn't wear pants to work." Okay. Oh, I've got to stop this example. I promise I'll stop now. But O is what you've observed. Okay. You go first. And then A, here's where you spend the bulk. Okay. Great leaders talk in questions. Have your questions prepared for the meeting. How did it feel using this new technique for the introduction? How was the customer's reaction? Did it sound any different to you? Where do you think we could improve? How did you do? How did it go? What do you think? Where were you strong last month? What did you do best? Where do you think we can do better this next month? All in questions. It takes longer. It does, but you're teaching them to fish. You're being a great leader, and they're learning to be self-sufficient, right? That's how you actually care and feed and teach people and mold them, by helping them self-discover. All right, the next one on this is committing to actions. As you get to the end of all of this, right, what can we do to focus on the skill? What action items are you going to take? What action items am I going to take? You know what I'm about to say, right? Yours should be 0 to 1. Theirs can be anywhere from 1 to 4. Then, of course, the H. This is where they love you, okay? This is where you're helping engage them and they learn to trust you. You offer your help. In call coaching, it might just look like a role play. Shall we practice it right now? You can do this with a question. How can I help you get this done? Can I help team you up with somebody? Is there somebody you want to shadow? Do you need access to a call database? Can I recommend some training? Whatever it may be, this is where you come in and offer some help. Be careful about how much you sign up for, but you offer some help. Never take more than they do. And then, of course, finally, the next steps. We're just agreeing at the end. You own this, I own that. We're going to meet again next Tuesday. Will you please send the invite for next Tuesday? And while we're talking about coaching, time saver number 7, have one source of truth. Okay, take the time up front with your peers to create a call coaching form. That way you define what good is, your standard. You don't have to reteach somebody who came from Bob's team, right? You don't have to undo other habits. You don't have to justify and clarify and argue when you're telling somebody to work on something, because there it is. It's the one source of truth. If you and your team haven't created that yet, it is a great action item on your proactivity list. We have one that we use often. In fact, we're going to let you download this. There's 3 different downloads that you can do. I'm going to start with that third one. That's our call coaching form. Now, this one is actually a director form coaching the manager, while the manager is using the coaching model to coach the rep. So all of our training, we create one of these forms so that there's a single source of truth on the skills. So this is a leadership level form. So it's kind of a double bonus. You can learn more about the coaching model and what that looks like, and steal the format for your form. Where I see most call coaching forms go wide, where the wheels come off the bus, is that people will spend 3 weeks defining what good is. And on the back, it starts on the back of the form, right? Like, oh, well, a good introduction looks like this. And pretty soon you're writing a training manual plus a playbook. And then you figure you got to have a scoring rubric. So now you have an entire page for every single thing on your form that nobody's ever going to read, man. Whoops, we went too far down the rabbit hole. So I've created forms that actually talk about a description of the skill and the result. That's it. Did you achieve the result? Yes. Even if it wasn't perfect on the skill, you give them the credit. And you do it in a way where you need improvement, you were competent, or you could teach the thing you're so good at it. A 1, 2, or 3. I don't have to list it out, right? If you didn't achieve the result, you're probably not getting a 3. And it very, very quickly and easily shows you where you need to focus. So feel free to steal this idea. It works. 2 other downloads while you're there. Successful manager meetings. These are those 8, right? A little bit more about what to do in each of those meetings. And then a great place to take some notes on leadership. This is from our class, The Role of the Sales Leader, that's also in the Management 101 Bootcamp. All right, there we go. Factor8.com/triad for the call coaching form, Factor8.com/meetings for the management cadence, and Factor8.com/leaders for the cheat sheet to your role as a sales leader, which of course we'll teach more about in the bootcamp. Here we go. Next slide. Shot number 8. You've heard me say it for the last 30 minutes. Put your reps in charge. You gotta teach them to fish. Stop the proving. Start the delegating. 6 things that reps can own. I bet you guys can come up with more. So if you've got one, throw it in chat. Something that you like to delegate to reps to save you time. See if you can add to my list, please. And Bob will tell us at the end. Number 1, always have them grade their own calls and come to call coaching sessions ready with what they want to work on. You know how hard it is to get to coaching, right? And when you have to go listen to all the calls, pull the calls, figure out the call, score the call the meeting, bring it to, and decide what you're going to talk about, you're buried under action items before you get to the meeting. Give them all to the rep. You set the expectation. We're going to do this together once a month, let's say, if you're a C, maybe twice a month if you're a B or an N. And you're going to bring the call you want to work on and decide what and why you want to work on it. Have it graded before you come to me. Spending a lot of time in the sales huddles, have a more tenured team, turn it over to them, man. Let them get everybody pumped up. Let them talk about the contest or the campaign or the focus or a success story or a skill training, whatever it may be that gets people re-energized and having fun on the job, this very, very hard job. Let your team run huddles. Not all of them. Maybe you've got a guest once a week. Oh, look at the time back. All right, this one for every single meeting. All of the notes, all of the actions, all of the decisions from every meeting you have with them. Okay? I want you to document what we decided here in our next steps. Send both of us an email with what we agreed upon, and please add that to our next meeting agenda. Woo! Look at all that time you just saved. Let them admin their own meetings, man. You've got 10 of them. There's one of you. How about their PIPs? If you have to own the writing of a performance improvement plan, the checking in, the management, and the babysitting of the actions, you've got the wrong person on the job. So give it to them. They bring the document, and in the meeting together, they decide what they're going to work on and the actions that they're going to take. Are you hearing the coaching model in here? Right? They own it, they document it, they schedule the follow-up meetings, and they bring their proof to you. Quit spending all of your time trying to catch them doing something right or wrong and let them bring it to you. Now, I've cheated and said this one. Every follow-up meeting, they own. And here's one last one. What about team trainings? Right? Why not do some peer trainings every once in a while in a team meeting? Hand it off to somebody to do. Now check their work the first time so it doesn't turn into a 2-hour be like me, sage on stage, boring, session. But if you hand it to them and teach them, you'll be saving your future self some time too. Bob, did anybody have additional ideas for us?
They do indeed. Sorry, I'm slow on the draw getting my head back onto the screen. So apologize for that. One person suggested that you have reps own their deals post-sale. So if there are onboarding challenges or cancellations that occur, you have them share those with the group, I suppose, or to take responsibility for
nice
post-sales issues.
Yeah, and a double win, right? Because we're training at the same time. I love that. Thank you. Okay, I've got a couple of tips here, a few insights that are going to save you time as well. Some of the time I used to wait was the stress and the worry. And if I can shortcut that for you in the next 2 slides, that will be the biggest gift that I give you. And this is it. You can't control how much other people care. And when you care more than they do, it causes a problem, right? You are going to wrap yourself around that axle. Listen, you got promoted because you're a superstar. And it's funny, once people get into management, one of the first things they tell me is, it's a little disappointing. Like, I was an A player. This is my language, not theirs. And I've got a team full of B's and C's. Nobody cares as much as you did. That's why you got promoted. But it's hard to manage folks who don't have the same motivation as you do, or the same skill as you do, or the same background as you do, or the same ambition as you do, or in the same part and time in their lives that you were, that made you strive and become a superstar. But let me tell you something, in management, the rest of the teams for the rest of your life, they'll be that way. Not everybody gets to be a superstar. And sometimes you got to give up on people. Not because you don't care, but because they don't. In trying to make people care, it's like trying to nail Jell-O to a wall. Okay? I had a rep, George, who couldn't get to work on time. And I got one excuse after another, after another, after another. And at the beginning, I bought them all, hook, line, and sinker. I felt so bad for George. I had a little, privileged guilt, I think, that I didn't have trouble with my car and I couldn't afford a new alarm clock. And I caught myself, like it was a Thursday afternoon during lunch, and I ran across the street to a Walmart so I could buy George an alarm clock. And I had a little word with myself. What the hell am I doing? If George didn't care enough to figure out how to get his phone alarm or a buddy or a mom, or there's a lot of different ways you can get yourself up and get to work in the morning. And that was me caring more than George did. That's where you got to stop yourself, right? So find your span of control and stay in it. And then go home and do something fun. Here's what the span of control looks like. That very small circle in the middle is what you actually control. You control your schedule. You control your attention. You do control your calendar. You control your reactions to things. You don't control your team. You don't control how hard they work. You don't control what the customer is going to say. You don't control the pricing or that the product has a glitch. You just don't. And you can't waste your time worrying about it. You can influence your team's level of skill and confidence. You can influence their activity and their focus, right? But you can't control it. There's a lot of other things you can, under your concern, but have absolutely no influence or control, right? What the boss has to say, the company's strategy, Bobby's work ethic, Sue's coachability, the price of gas, right? That's everything, man. You can't, very little you can actually impact. So stop setting yourself up for disappointment and failure and spinning your wheels and stressing out about it. He's going to make it or he's not, right? You give him enough rope. You've all heard that before. I've got 4 bonus chasers. If you're going to do shots, you got to have a chaser, right? These are less management related and more life related, and these save me every single day. The first one is, if you have notifications, right? If there's a little window that pops up showing you every email that comes in, if your phone dings every time you get a text message or an Insta or a Snap or whatever it is, shut them off. You're not getting your stuff done. That is you saying, I would rather react to what's inbound all day long. The only way you'll get proactive is by quieting the moles that pop up. Then set times where you're going to go and check those things. That's the orange square here. Time block all of your important actions on the calendar. And what's important? Related to goal. Is it also important that you check your phone and your email a couple times a day? Yes. Schedule time for it. Block time for it. Just don't let yourself do it every time it dings. You won't get anything else done. Set a same time and a same place for tasks, right? We've got meetings that are related to goal, and we've got activities that are related to goal, and they're on our calendar. But we also have a great big to-do list. Put them in the same place and set the same time to do them. This is what mine looks like. I have been using this system since I was 22 years old, which tells you why it's paper, all right? Maybe you're going to use Anydo or any of the other apps that are out there. Maybe yours is actually a Post-it note system, but whatever you do, don't use both. You got to have one place all the time for your to-do list. I look at it every morning before I start work. I close it out every night, and I make a new one for the next day. Okay. And if I find that I am shifting a to-do, a task to the next day, 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 and it carries over for a week, I either delete it or delegate it. Good. Same time for key actions and tasks. This also means chunking. Okay. That's maybe even a better way to say it. If you've got to drive somewhere to pick yada, yada, yada up, right? Do it at the same time that you have to drive somewhere and get lunch or stop by the mailbox or, right? If you've got to be in email to answer something, do it at the time where you're going to do the rest of your emails. If you need to, does this make sense? I don't think I've got to explain it any further. Do like tasks together, because the back and forth, even just the switching of the mind focus, it's not efficient, right? If I'm in the mind focus to answer emails, I do all my emails and I only touch them once. I either respond to it, delete it, file it, or delegate it. If I'm in the mind focus to do presentations, oh my gosh, that was the last 2 days. And I have mouse arm because I dove in deep and I did PowerPoint after PowerPoint after PowerPoint. Same with you, right? If you're releasing orders, release orders. Do all of them at once. All right. Whew. This is what it looks like when you're blocking your calendar, right? My important things are here. Maybe I'm on my inbound queue. Maybe there's my daily huddle. Oh, the most important thing is outbounding for new business. This is what your reps calendars could look like, right? What's yours? Well, I've got a meeting. I've got a coaching. See how there's white space? That's where you get to react. That's where you go in and answer your emails, check your text messages, answer all the Slacks. But when you're in a meeting, you're in a meeting. Give that person your attention. Get it done there. And teach your team that you will not stop a meeting, a coaching, a strategy meeting, a pipeline meeting for their one-off requests. It'll take a few weeks to teach them to fish, but they will. Okay, folks, we've been through 14 tips, 8 shots, 2 insights, and 4 chasers. Here is a list of everything that we've covered. If you see one on here that you don't remember or you want more info about, now is the time to send that email. What was it? support@salesmanagementassociation.com, or chat it in right now.
That's right.
We
Good
got
memory.
it? Good. All right. And I will just spend a second then telling you more ways you can come get more information. And I'll certainly hang out here to answer questions, but it was my goal to get done early because it is all about saving you some time, right? Why suck up more time than we need to? Here's our next sales shots at Factor 8 if you want to come join us. We've got one on call coaching, what to prepare to have a better meeting and a faster meeting. That's in May. How to be a great sales manager. There's a lot of tips from our Management 101 class in your role as a sales leader. And how to fix the top 10 mistakes that we're making during sales demos this summer. So factor8.com shots is where you'll find that. And I told you guys about our boot camp. We run a couple a year, about 1 a quarter. And it's a wonderful opportunity to get a taste from some of the award-winning training. So each one of the boot camps has 3 e-learnings and 3 live sessions where we work through the skills. And it's a really fun way to meet other sales managers and cohorts out there. So there's a 101 boot camp that's coming up in August, a call coaching boot camp that's coming up in June. That's the next one. And a 201, preparing for second line leadership and getting better at that management role if you've been in it a few years. That's coming up in October. And of course, we've got a discount code for you, BC_200 for $200 off. Factor8.com/boot-camp. Boot-camp. And I hope to see you guys there. And if we haven't met each other before and you'd like to connect, I would very much love to do that. This is me. You can find me on LinkedIn. That is my email address and our company's number. And to learn anything more about our different platforms, there's the websites as well. All right, Bob, I'll hand it off to you to close us up, and I will stick around to answer any questions if you chatted one in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren, very much for a great presentation and intoxicating, in fact, the set of hacks you provided for our audience. We always appreciate that.
I love the bar pun, Bob. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. I knew you would catch that. That's why I saved my best stuff, my A material for you. And we do, in fact, have some questions if you're willing to take a few. I'll try to get to a couple of those. Let's see. So one of the listeners asked, related to your coaching model, the coach-in model, do you suggest sharing this model of coaching with coachees? If so, how, when?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big believer in authenticity, right? Especially if you used to be a rep. Nobody thinks that all of a sudden you got hit by the magic wand and you know everything there is to do about being a manager. So when we teach this, we suggest that you go back to the team and say, actually, I've been taking some management training and I've learned a new model that's going to help me organize our interactions. So it's called the coaching model, and we're going to run through it together. It doesn't have to be followed in order. It's something they might decide to use for their other meetings, but it can help them be prepared, right? You can help walk them through it and say, listen, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. So bring your A game and be ready. Know that you're going to be committing to some action items and that you'll own our next steps. So here we go. Yeah, why not? Let them follow along with you and then they'll use it. It's great for managing up too.
Yeah, interesting. Cool. Another questioner asked, what's your experience with reps knowing what is in a PIP, that is a performance improvement plan? Hopefully that's what they meant.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's critical. 100% they have to know what's in that PIP. They've got to own that PIP. It's not a secret document about how we're going to get Bob out of the company. I love using your name for the bad ones, Bob. Sorry.
At one point you suggested people hit me, which was, fine.
Just
fine.
hit Bob.
Yeah.
Don't actually hit Bob, anybody.
Yeah. So the key here is not so much, obviously, if you give them a PIP, they'll know about it. But I mean, maybe the questioner is trying to get at, do they know well in advance what they're likely to get in one of those things?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think your job is to be a broken record, right? From the very beginning. Here's the goal. Here's how you get there, right? And also, by the way, hopefully you're not going to need it, but here's how you get in trouble. Here's how you fail out around here. And if that happens, we have a performance improvement plan. In fact, if you don't explain to people that that's the process up front, if you get a really good future A or B player, right? One of those newbies who winds up on a PIP, they won't stay, right? They need to understand it is standard. Everybody goes through it. Some of the best people have been on PIPs in the past. It is what we do to document how we're going to partner together to get you improved. It calls all of our attention to it and we document our commitments. Did that answer, do you think?
Perhaps only the commenter can tell, but we invite follow-up if not. Maybe one more question. Here's something related to peer coaching. Should you recognize salespeople especially good at being a peer coach in the sort of context that you were recommending?
Yeah. In fact, your A players are probably not your best coaches. We love to use them when you can, but the ones who are superstars, to them, selling is an art, not a science. They have a lot of trouble teaching it. They just do it, right? It's why they make lousy managers, because it's tough to teach and they're so busy winning. It's hard to teach other people. So yeah, when you find people who are good at coaching others, give them a ton of credit. And in fact, one of the best things you can do is talk to them privately, because those coaches make great managers and great leaders. So publicly recognize, but then privately discuss about career path, right? Great coaches make great managers. And I just think you're doing incredible at this. Have you thought about your career and where you're going? Is management something you're interested in, or even training something you're interested in?
Hopefully. Good thoughts. Thank you. Thank you, Lauren Bailey from Factor 8. A great presentation as usual. We really appreciate sharing your time and your insights with us today.
It's my pleasure. I love this association and bringing sales managers together for our survival. Let's survive and then let's thrive together. We hope to see you all in Houston in June. I can't wait to be there.
That's right. We're looking forward to having you there. And before we go, I'll just remind our audience of our next Sales Management Association online presentation. That's coming up on Wednesday, June 15th, when we'll host a session providing our first look at concluded research on monitoring and managing salesperson activity. You can learn more about both the research and the upcoming webcast on the results of that research on our site here under the Events and Resources tab at salesmanagement.org. So I'm Bob Kelly, Sales Management Association Chairman. On behalf of the fantastic Lauren Bailey from Factor 8, thank you for your time and attention today. Goodbye until next